Hey, I'm right back with another video. It's 5:22 p.m. It is October 4th. So I want to come on here and make another video because I'm bored. And my last video that I made, I had posted it. And then I was pretty exhausted. Like, ooh, I was talking and talking and talking. I'm like, but then it's like, oh man, I'm like really bored again. So I'm bored again. So I'm going to come here and make another video. Most of this is just rambling because I'm really in the mood to talk. Like I wish I had a friend that I could trust, which is rare, but I wish I had one because I really wish I had somebody to spend time with and talk to, and somebody who I can trust, not to stab me in the back. But like I said, you never find those kind of people. Maybe one day I will, but in the meantime, videos will just have to do. So anyway, I was thinking about, the stress that I've been experiencing, and I'm actually quite surprised that I'm doing as well as I am. This is a very devastating thing for a person to deal with when you've been stalked. I believe I've been stalked by multiple people. Not just the gang stalking, but I'm pinpointing the people that have been stalking me. Okay, my ex-blood relations, my ex-husband and his family, also the girl from work over at the farmer's place, and then the guy from high school, and all these people with their little hands and shit, and whatever. And I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with any of that. And then when you try to make an effort to get out on your own and take care of your own stuff, provide for your own needs, and you got this group of people, that want to contest stuff and whatever. I wish I would have known that I was trafficked many years ago. I wish I would have figured it out a long time ago, but unfortunately I'm just now coming to understand it. So it's piece by piece, and all the videos I've been making, over 1,000 videos in this 5-year period of time, which kind of shows exactly how I started figuring things out. And it's awesome, this situation's not awesome, but what's awesome is that it took me such a long time to figure out. But the important thing is that I figured it out, and it was extremely taxing. So I think there's a lot of my perps are probably thinking, okay, well, why don't you, if you know what you want, why don't you go out and get it? You try, but you deal with the anxiety because you don't want to have to encounter another weirdo, another perp working on behalf of these people, because it's devastating. There was a time where my ex-family was trying to force me into staying married to my ex-husband, who I'm terrified of, by the way. And I want to be done with that. And so when you're confronted with this, you go into a job interview and you realize that these people are working on behalf of the people who are trying to put you in contact in some way with trying to keep you married to somebody that abused you. It sends like chills down your spine. Like you're like, what is going on? And it's frightening. It is terrifying. Okay. So I consider, I'm trying to look at myself as a newbie in the world, like somebody who's just kind of stepping out in the world, brand new, like a new person, like you just were born into a new world, because my world's changed. Everything in my world has changed. No, I don't want a reconciliation with the people that I used to know. I think a lot of people in this community may have developed a relationship with my ex-family, and then people that are in this community and who also know the people who are associated with my targeting. And they, you see different sides of people. Like, when I'm at my home, I talk and I joke with my son and everything like that. But if I'm going to meet one of the neighbors, I'm going to be more reserved, right? We behave in a different way with different people. And so what I've dealt with, the workplace mobbings, the harassment, the bullying, to me, that's a face of the people who targeted me. You see what I'm saying? Because the behavior of these people are basically a representation of who these people are. So you can know a person all your life. Like, for example, the people that I'm related to, my blood family. Like, I never realized that they had this sort of contempt for me. There were signs, okay, but you don't know, and you kind of overlook things, but you never realize exactly what it is. So the way I look at it is that I don't know these people. These are people, I don't care if they're sorry. None of that matters to me. What matters to me is I need to feel safe. I need to feel safe and I need to feel protected. I know that my life has been threatened. I know that my life has been, I lost jobs and moved multiple times because of this targeting, the destructive thing that happened to me. And so I will tell you that disturbs me. It disturbs me that so much chaos, so much trauma can result from this. And then all I do is just feel like, I'm terrified of these people, And so it's important for me to pick myself back up and feel safe. And that's what I'm trying to do. I want to feel safe. And I don't feel safe with that was going on out there. I don't, I had gotten divorced, my divorce papers were finalized 2 years ago. I was divorced 2 years ago. And, and I understand that my standards are different than most people. Okay, I try to live a life that is based on certain ideals that a lot of people may not be familiar with, but that's my life. Okay, so then people think, well, first of all, I like to say that when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is color coordinate. I color coordinate whether I'm going outside or whether I'm staying in the house. Okay, so just because, and it helps lift my mood, and I'm just wearing regular clothes or whatever, but still, it's like it lifts my mood. I'm not doing anything because I'm trying to get the guy from high school. I'm not doing anything because I want to get back to my husband, my ex-husband. Okay, this is for me. This is what I do. This is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. You see me going out for walks around town. I go out for walks around town, number one, to clear my head. Number two, there's times where while I'm not working, hopefully I'll go to work one day, but while I'm not working, I don't see any reason why my son doesn't use my car. So he uses my car. If I need to go somewhere, then I'm going to get on my feet. I'm going to walk. For example, sometimes I'll walk, I'll scrape some change, and I'll go across the street and get I call it a fizzy water, because I love dark cups because they keep things cold. And it's my way of getting out of the house for a little bit. I'll walk across the street, go get a fizzy cup. I call it fizzy cup. Drink, okay? I'll get one of those. I'll go to the park. I need to get out of the house, okay? So some people might think, well, she's just going outside. She's going for a walk. She must be trying to... If I was trying to get in shape, I would be picking up the pace a little bit. I would be walking, maybe put some leg weights on, and you'd be seeing me stretching and stuff. I'm not doing any of that. Okay, but even if I was, the thing is that I'm divorced. I've been divorced for 2 years. And you think about people trying to force you to stay married. I'm divorced. I'm legally divorced, okay? Scripturally, I'm also divorced based on scripture. Okay? And I try to sever ties in the best way I possibly can. It is traumatizing. I don't want to be confronted with these people. I seriously wake up at night with sweating sometimes because of the bullshit that these people cause me. Aside from that, these are the same people who collaborated with my ex-family, with the wicked weirdo at work, the little girl at the farmer's place, okay, who enacted a hate crime against me along with my family, who probably bought my ex-husband and his family into it. And the whole thing to me is just I'm traumatized that somebody would care so little about my life, my goals, my things that I needed, to keep something like that from me and then try to the whole thing. Okay, I don't want to go into it. I went into it a few videos ago. So when I say something that people terrify me, that I want nothing to do with them, I mean that. Some people don't understand. I think it's difficult for a lot of people to understand, why is it? Because some people, they just think, well, they say they're sorry. I understand narcissism. And I understand what it felt like for people to belittle things that I felt were important, and to act out in secret, behind my back, and then do all these sort of things and traumatize me further. I was traumatized multiple times. No matter how many times I cried out, it was I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to stay in your life. I'm going to stalk you. Okay, and I just did a video about this narcissism awareness month, which I thought was it was timely, it was good information. So I don't want to go too much into that, okay? But, it's hard when you don't really understand that things don't always work in a professional way. Like, when I was younger, I really did think that, you send off your resume, you go have because that's how it's supposed to be. You don't think that there's people manipulating things behind the strings, tricking you into accepting jobs, and then yanking it all away from you. You don't even think about stuff like that. I understood that there was things like blacklisting. Those things happened, okay? But I didn't understand all the elements. And then when I started putting things together, then it made sense, okay? But I'm traumatized by it, And there's a lot of women out there who have been abused verbally, physically, financially, such as I have. Anytime, when you deal with human trafficking, like, for example, there's different forms of human trafficking, okay? There's some human trafficking that goes on in other countries where they traffic children, and that's a big issue, okay? And it's far more severe than mine, and mine's severe, okay? But there's a lot of little kids who are getting trafficked. There's a lot of women who get trafficked, and even men do too. But in some foreign countries, even actually in this country, okay, there are people who are literally being put in boxes and being shipped places. Okay, there's all kinds of forms of human trafficking. One of the forms of human trafficking, in most of it, I'm going to say all forms of human trafficking, it's important to isolate the person, okay? And, in places where some people get tricked into going overseas or something, like they might trick a bunch of women saying, oh, we got this modeling contract, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to take you over to France, for example. Okay, we're going to take you to France. Okay, we're going to load you guys on the plane. While you guys get on the plane, hand us over your passports. Give us your passports so that everybody keeps staying together. And so women are naive. People are naive. They're thinking about trying to get their career off the ground. So they're handing their passports over to the controller. Okay, and the reason why that controller is asking for their passports so they can't leave. You see, and there's that form of human trafficking. But most of the time, what they do is they control you, okay, and oftentimes they try to control you financially, okay. And when that happens, that's abuse. You know what I mean? I want to go back and work. I want to work, okay. And it's like, now that I want to take things in my own hands, my biggest issue is I don't want to encounter those people. Because I will tell you, there's nothing more terrifying than going into a place of employment that's supposed to know better, and you're trying to improve your situation after dealing with a devastating situation, and there's a person at the desk looking at you, who's going to call your ex-husband, or who's going to call your family members who are part of a cult or something, and they're going to try to keep you married to that person, the same person who abused you. I'm going to tell you what that feels like. It feels like a death sentence is what it feels like. And it's a very real situation, So what happens to single women? We just have to pick ourselves up and try to figure out what we're going to do. Because I don't trust, the sad thing is, I was not taken seriously for a very long time. Maybe it was because they thought, because I was, they just didn't care. They had no regard for me. They had no concern about what I feel inside, or maybe they felt like, the family was such an important thing. I will tell you right now, when I married my ex-husband, I married Joel because I thought that he and I were going to go and live together, and that was it, okay? And everybody has different ideas about marriage, okay? And some people look at marriage as a business unit. They look at it as a business unit, and they start, like, using their marriage partners as commodity, you know what I mean? And I felt really demoralized and demeaned and degraded by being in that relationship. And then I knew he had a relationship with his mother and all the other stuff. And it was like weird to me. That's weird, okay? And so when I found out that my employment was being manipulated, and then he had a relationship with his mother, I left. So I kept saying over and over again, and that's just my point. The point is that people think, oh, well, she must be wanting to get back to. No, I do not. It's hard for a lot of people to understand how some people can be strong enough to say, I want to cut everybody out, because this to me was very devastating. When you lose your job, when you're out somewhere looking for a job and you're all by yourself, which I've been all by myself, you know, and you got somebody playing and toying with you to take you back into a situation that you literally are sick of. Now, it's hard for a lot of people to understand. That's why other people shouldn't be involved in it. You know, I want to go on with my life. I want to forget it. You know, I don't want to. That's my biggest issue. I want to forget it. I don't have... How could you feel sentimental towards people who abused you? Or you don't even know. Like, I wasn't even capable of understanding that my family would do this to me. You know what I mean? I never agreed to that sort of marriage. You know what I mean? I would never consent to that kind of marriage. You know? I don't believe in husbands being able to dictate what a woman does. I believe that, you know, if you're married, you know, you should have somebody you can look up to, and you should have romantic respect for them, and everything should be communicated directly. And so I do believe these things that happen to me are unforgivable. I will not forgive them. I won't. And I'm tired of people thinking, you know, that she needs to go back to her husband. I'm not going back to anybody. I'm not. And I'm sad that, you know, I'm constantly having to assert myself and say it over and over again in fear that I'm going to encounter another weirdo. Because I've dealt with it before, and it's not good. You know, I don't want to be held to a certain standard because they think I'm doing this because I'm going to get back with my husband. I would never be married to somebody like that. You know, when I was married, okay, he never communicated to me that he had an issue. As a matter of fact, everything that came out of his mouth and every action that he took showed that he condoned how I lived. We never had these issues, okay? But things were going on behind the scenes. I don't dig that, okay? If I was to get married, which I don't think I'm ever going to get married, and I don't really care. I really don't. And I know people thinking, you're just saying that because... No, I'm terrified of people. I don't trust anyone, okay? But if I was to get married, okay, there would be a clear communication. Don't you ever touch the things that I need to do. And if I had somebody, I would not deal with somebody who was out of control. I just wouldn't. Okay? I have been abused all my life. Why would I want to walk into something like that? I wouldn't. You know? These are my principles. These are my life principles, which I have every right to live. You know what I mean? I believe in the old-fashioned way of living. If sometimes you have to... I went out yesterday because I had to mail a letter. I had to mail them the rent off, right? So there's no public mailboxes. I do not like putting my mail on my mailbox outside because you put like a little clip on it. Somebody can walk in and take it. That doesn't usually happen, but what if the clip wasn't fastened well and it ended up blowing off somewhere? So I'm like, okay, I want to make sure it goes into a public mailbox. I want to see it go into a public mailbox. So I went out, I'm going to go to the public mailbox. And I'm pissed off that public mailboxes aren't as common as they used to be. They've like taken so many of the public mailboxes. So I'm like, okay, I was lucky and found a postman as I was walking yesterday and handed him my rent payment. And so I sat in the park for a little bit, you know. And so people think, well, she's going out for walks. Yeah, I go for walks. Okay? You think I'm trying to go back to my husband because I'm going for a walk? No. I'm going for a walk because I like being outside. There's nothing else to do. That's it. You know, I don't ever want to feel like I'm the thread that's holding something together for someone else's life. And that's what my family uses me as. I don't know the relationship that they have with Joel's family. You know, they must have some sort of business deal. Then they look at marriage as a business deal, but I don't look at marriage as a business deal. I believe each person should take care of themselves. You know, and that's the way it is. But I was divorced 2 years ago. You know, I really want to shut that part of my life away. I don't want to think about it anymore. It has become entirely too traumatizing. So people might think, well, you know, then you don't have anyone. You can be with somebody and not have anyone. If they treat you like garbage, then I guess you really don't have anyone, then do you? And I'd rather be by myself than have somebody like constantly do this sort of shit to me. I just would. I'm not bashing them. I would prefer just to forgive them. But I'm trying to make myself very clear here. Because people are like, well, if you want something so much, go out and get it. Why don't you go out and find your job? It's not that simple. I've had my phone tapped, I believe. I don't know if my email's sabotaged or not. I don't really know. There's ways people can check that stuff, but I'm not that tech savvy. But I know when you're a targeted individual, they tend to infiltrate. And so they know when I'm going to job interviews, or they instructed employers to call them. And I can't tell you how that feels when you're a 50-year-old woman. Okay? I'm beholden to nobody. Nobody has the right to do that to me. I'm divorced anyway. And then knowing that somebody wants to force you back into a marriage, I will say that, some religious people, and they make it an issue of religion. I've divorced him for my divorce was based on spiritual reasons. Or it's spiritually approved. It's biblically approved. My divorce is also legally approved, meaning I have a piece of paper that says divorced. This is a chapter of my life I really want to shut down. I really want to shut down. I don't want to remember any of these people. Just like, every day I lay down at night and I think, okay, I need to forget my past. And all I have is the present. It's hard when I can't really focus on my future because I don't want to meet some weirdo. You know what I mean? I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm tired of the unprofessionalism, and I know it's hard. So, I know that I'm trying to do this thing on my own to find a job or jobs, different jobs, whether they be temporary jobs or little assignments. I'm calling myself like a floater. Just trying to do you need some filing work done? Do you need some data entry done? Do you need me to train people? What do you need me to do? I'm trying to work myself that way because, when you're gangsta and you've had this issue where people look at the work that you did as an asset and they feel like, well, yeah, we're going to let you work for 20-something years, and then what we're going to do is that we're going to, take that away from you as if it never happened. What do? You don't know what you're going to do. So the only thing you can do is, you come up with different ideas and you got to try different things. So people are like, well, how come you're not contacting people? Because I don't want to deal with unprofessionalism. I don't want to deal with bullshit. Okay? I'm a woman who wants to work. Okay? I don't want to worry about, she should be wearing a dress. I choose to wear pants that day. And I got somebody who I don't care about, who I don't want to who shouldn't have any say-so at what I'm doing, piping in, well, she needs to do this. Why do I need to do this? Oh, because what? I'm going back to my husband? No, I'm not going back to my husband. I'm not trying to cater to his needs. I was divorced 2 years ago. I'm just saying this. So it's not like, I can just get up and feel like that. I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety. Because I'm tired of dealing with that shit. So all these people who got together to basically ruin my life in the name of God, I'm disturbed by it. I'm really disturbed by it. And, if I was to, I don't want to get married, but if I was married, looking for somebody, they would have to have the same beliefs as I do. Meaning, you accept me how I am. You accept me how I am. You don't sit here, tweak, modify who I am. Because I have great reasons to believe the way that I do. And you either coincide with that or go on. You know what I mean? But once you abuse me, and I don't put up with abuse, I won't. You both abused me one time. Okay, it's happened several times, okay? Because I was in denial of a lot of the abuse at first, before I actually ended up leaving for the good this last time. So I don't want to deal with it. I'm sorry that people look at me as a business deal. I'm sorry that people look at me as, I would never consent to something like that. I don't want to be the thread that holds people together. Why should I sit there and be the thread that holds people together when I don't love these people? And I know people are like, oh, that's not true. You love these. No. How could you love somebody who treated you like that? who took away your childhood, made sure you didn't have any friends. Every time you had a relationship, they sabotaged it. Tell me why. Am I supposed to be sentimental over that? When that's all I got from these people? Am I supposed to be teary-eyed? Am I supposed to be like, oh, I miss him, I want to give him a hug, I want to get back together? No, I'm trying to get the fuck away from these people. You know? Maybe they are sorry. Well, if they're sorry, then let me go. And let me go. Just let me deal with my life. Yeah, you caused a lot of problems. I'll tell you that. You put the wheels in motion for something really bad. And you started it. You know, don't try to put the blame on me. Like, oh, well, because, you know, if you didn't dress so nice, and you're supposed to dress nice. I should be able to go to Brock's when I want to. I can look however I want. Other women do. Is it because you don't want me to find somebody else? I'm not going to find someone else. I will not marry again. Okay? And I'm going to be very, very clear. And this is not me being racist. I wouldn't touch a white man with a 10-foot pole. And I got strong reasons for that too. And it's not being racist. It's just being realistic. So stop trying to prevent me from being around other people. It's wrong. And it's damaging to a person. It's extremely damaging to another person. It's abuse is what it is. Which is what I was talking about in that narcissistic thing. You know? It's one thing. See, the thing is that I wasn't just blacklisted in Bakersfield. Because, I mean, I was willing to leave Bakersfield. Can't do it now, but I was willing to leave Bakersfield. Okay? But you blacklisted me in Los Angeles. You blacklisted me in, well, the Antelope Valley. I was blacklisted in other states. You blacklisted me everywhere. So, that's your fault. In general. Okay? In general. You know? So I'm supposed to, like, get nothing out of this. So I'm supposed to be working. I worked for 23 years. I remember my first accounting job, okay? I want to go back for a minute. This is just, I'm talking video, okay? I remember getting my first accounting job. And I do remember getting mobbed, but I wasn't that bad. Just people being stupid and rude sometimes, you know? But I remember getting that job on my own. I came up with an idea to get that job. And I worked towards that job. I remember that. So I'm trying to figure out exactly when did these people like latch on and start like manipulating everything. I don't know when. But I'm sorry that you did. Because now this brings to the attention of what happens to somebody who gets trafficked through the system. I didn't want to be trafficked. You know, I wanted a basic little life. You know, I wanted a life where I could work, and I would have been able to send my son to college. Seriously, I know for a fact that if I would have been able to make the right decisions as to where I was going and the way I presented myself, I would have been able to have a decent career. Maybe nothing major, but I would have been able to make enough to make a decent living. And I do believe I would have made enough to send my son to college and do all the other things that people need to do. Yeah, I do. Without a bachelor's degree. Because like I said, there was a girl I knew who was a lot like me. I had a son who was a little older than me. We drove similar cars. She even looked a lot like me. That's one of the reasons why we hung out. You know? We had a lot in common. And she did A-okay. She was doing fine. She did books. You know? She did bookkeeping, accounting, you know, and it was easy for her to find jobs, and I'm sure it would have been easy for me to have. So I have dealt with more frustration than I needed to deal with. I've just dealt with it way too much without trying to bring it all up, okay? But, you know, I'm just a woman who needs to make a living. That's all I am. You know? So is all this issue about what I'm wearing, how my hair is, you know, is all this because you're thinking you're going to force me to, I've talked about forced marriages before, and that's a form of human trafficking. Forced marriages is a form of human trafficking, especially when they're looked upon as like a commodity of some sort, to where you're being forced to work and stuff like that. This is not me trying to bring up an argument, because I'm not interested in arguing. I'm really not. But I just want to make sure and make it very clear that I don't want that. And I don't want somebody assigning me a job and then thinking, well, if they get back together, then it's all going to be really good, because I don't want to get back together with this person. I'm a woman who needs protection from abuse. And that's what it is. And I'm looking at my eyes right now. The light is beaming on my eyes, which makes me look like I have blue eyes. And it's not. It's actually the reflection of the window. So if somebody sees my eyes looking all trippy, it's not my eyes. It's the reflection of the window. But I had to look real quick. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Anyway, and it's hard, because I know it's easier to find some work or whatever. However, this ends up, it's easier to find work if you know someone. It is. I don't know anyone. And see, I've been socially isolated. I've been socially isolated for a very long time. So where I didn't have... See, and the thing is, when you're trafficked, they do take control of your finances. Like I was giving the example, when these people get on the airplane, they take your passports, they take your ability to move, to be mobile. Same thing. Maria can't go to a job without getting the consent of people who have no right to give me consent. So, and they look at my previous work history as some sort of asset that only they can claim. So then basically I have to work through a system. I worked through a system for 20 something years, and I'm supposed to be left with nothing. It's bullshit. Yeah, it is bullshit. And I like to say though that, I've always been told by the employers that I did a good job. Now I know, because I didn't live up to the expectations of my family members. They've kind of painted me out, because I'm not somebody who's going to take, deal with abuse, rude comments and stuff like that. I was polite all those other years. And when I started realizing there was a consistent pattern, I didn't quite put the whole thing together about being a targeted individual. When I started realizing that these, why should I have to put up with this sort of abuse? Then I started getting verbal and standing up for myself. And you have to be that way. You have to be that way. I started getting to the point where this is ridiculous. I should not have to put up with this, and nobody should. No one should have to put up with something like that. And so there's times I wake up at night and I'm like, oh my gosh, I get sick to my stomach. I can't deal with this. No one should have to live like that. I will say though, my attitude towards work is different now. It's something I know I have to do. I got to make a living. I can't live like this. But at the same time, I miss being enthusiastic about work, because, that was something that I enjoyed doing. And now I look at it like, God, it seems like it's so much bullshit out there. It seems like there's just so much corruption out there. And you wonder, how am I going to make it in this fucked up world? How am I going to do this? But I do. My old entourage that I belong to, that I didn't ask to belong to, I don't want anything to do with these people. Stop following me around, please. Stop, obstructing me. Stop acting like I need to ask your permission. I worked those jobs. Okay? I worked them. Whether you liked it or I didn't deserve it because I wasn't going to your church or whatever, that's mine. And you just whatever. I'm not going to be able to get into the kind of work that I used to do. Okay? Can't you be satisfied with that enough? You ruined that. Can't you be satisfied with that enough? You got to sit here and tear everything out from underneath me. How fucked up is that? It's pretty messed up. So anyway, this is my plea. Just leave me alone, please. I don't want to have nightmares about it anymore. I don't have any sentimental attachment. I'm sorry if it upsets you that I'm leaving the family or whatever. I'm saying that's too bad. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to think about yourself. I'm trying to think about myself for a change. And it's not selfishness. This is not being selfish. It's about, self-respect. Like somebody who is basically tearing you from the inside out. Wearing you down. Scaring you. Terrifying you. Doesn't care enough to protect your privacy. They want their privacy protected, but they don't care about putting your house under surveillance. I don't know if my house is under surveillance now, but I don't know. I don't think it is. But in the past it was. They don't care if they're exposing you to other people, or, maybe you want to be more private in your home, which you have the right to do, and other people are looking. They don't care about that. They don't care about your feelings. And if they do now, well, then that's nice, okay? But don't expect me to forgive you, okay? I don't want to see any more of your agents, which I know that you sparked some fire out here. People bullying. Hang on a second. The fan. I gotta have the fan on in here because it's very warm. But at the same time, I really don't like all that dust blowing up my nose. But anyway, I didn't ask for that. So, I think really what I'm asking for is that you leave me alone, and then also that you understand that there's a certain way to behave. And there is, I do think of myself as a social reformer because I know not to infringe on the rights of other people. And I understand that not everybody has the same views as me. And I'm respectful and mindful of that. I like to speak in ways to people where I'm not going to intrude on their personal space or make them compromise their own personal beliefs for anything to appease me. Like, I don't know, for example, I don't know who my next door neighbors are. I don't know their names, okay? But they might be Catholic or something, okay? I'm going to treat them well. I'm going to respect them. And if they were talking to me about their faith, I'm not going to poo-poo it. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm going to respect what they believe. Whether I agree with it or not, I'm going to respect it. Because it's the thing to do. Now, if we got into a biblical discussion and they asked me, what do I think about this? Then if I could show them what I think about that, and because that's a dialogue that they want to initiate. So we agree to have this conversation. If they choose to believe things from my point of view or whatever, well then, okay. But I don't push my stuff on other people. I don't push my beliefs on other people. I just don't. And to threaten my life because of something like this, it's a foolish thing. It's a foolish thing to do. And I've suffered so many years from foolish decisions that were made by other people. And because I was awkward, I was blamed for everything. All the harassment issues that I've had in my previous job were a result of these people. The excessive hovering over my desk, and the tension that was caused all the time just got to be too much. And so it was a result of me end up, missing out on so many opportunities in life. And so because I couldn't deal with the toxic environment, then they deemed me as somebody, well, she's no good at what I was very good at what I did. You understand, I grasped accounting very quickly. I did. I grasped it. I fully got it. And I got it. I understood it. Do I understand everything? No. And I was like, they went through this competition thing where well, you don't know as much as the CPA. I never said I did. Never said it. I never meant to compete with anybody. I understand the job market is competitive. I do understand that. Meaning that you may put in an application somewhere and there's 200 other people who put in the same application. That's the competition I was thinking about. I never thought that somebody would be so irresponsible to go and spread shit all over a community in other locations and everything else to do this. So you inadvertently, you blacklisted me on purpose, but you had to have known what you were doing. I don't want those kind of connections. Do you understand how unfortunate that is for me? I don't like it. I don't want to be the thread that holds you together. And what you're asking me to do, to sacrifice my life for your own selfishness, is just shocking to me. I would never do that to you. I would never ask you, can you stay married to somebody that you don't love and terrifies you to death so that we can get benefits from this family? Because that's pretty much what you're asking me to do, and it's horrible. You want to continue to be related to these people, then be related to these people. You can still have a relationship with these people without me in it. I don't want to be a part of it. You know, you can cause too much hurt to a person, and I've said this before. I don't want to. I don't want it. I just don't. So, anyway, and I'm not trying to create an argument or be controversial or stir it up. I'm just saying is, I have the right to want my freedom. I'm trying to enjoy the last few years of my life. I'm going to be a senior. In about 12 years, I will be considered a senior citizen. Okay? Which I have nothing to fall back on after the 20-something years that I've been working. Because people wanted to take it from me. And then throw it in the air and play a game about it and think it was a competition. I didn't ask for a competition. I don't like to compete with people. I was trying to make a living. And that's it. You know, the whole thing to me is so warped. And when I lay down at night and I think about it, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to catch my breath, because it's like somebody would actually do something like this to jeopardize my life in this manner. It's shocking to me. So get it out of your head that I want to, I don't want a reconciliation with you. I really don't. Don't put pressure on me to do that. Don't sit here and have your perps, trying to redirect me, bring me in for job interviews, or waste my time, knowing good and well that they're basically trying to put me back in the presence of a man who abused me. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope all targeted individuals have a wonderful day. I'll be back with another one some other time later. Take care. Bye-bye.